So, today we're going to dive into a really fascinating new theory. It suggests there might be a single universal blueprint for memory, and it connects things that you would never, ever think belong in the same sentence. We're going to take a journey into the very fabric of how information is stored, from the atomic all the way to the biological.
All right, to get us started, let's kick things off with a bit of a riddle. First, I want you to picture the hardest, most perfect substance we know, a truly flawless diamond.
Okay, got that? Now, let's add something else to the mix. One of the most futuristic pieces of tech you can imagine, a quantum memory chip. Something that can store information right down at the level of a single atom. And for the final piece of this puzzle, let's throw in something deeply personal, something biological, that internal clock deep inside your brain that manages your daily rhythms. So, what on earth could possibly connect these three things? Well, the answer reveals this incredible, hidden symmetry between space and time. See, the key to cracking that riddle is realizing that there are really two fundamentally different ways information gets stored. Some memories are built in space, while others are built in time. Let's break that down. Think of spatial storage like the words printed on the page of a book. The information is encoded by just arranging stuff in a specific physical layout. A book, your computer's hard drive, even your DNA. Yep, that's all spatial storage. But on the flip side, you've got temporal storage. That's way more like the rhythm of a song. The information is encoded in a repeating pattern over time, a stable, predictable beat. Okay, so let's start with the absolute gold standard for spatial perfection. If you wanted to build the perfect vault, the ultimate container to store information in space, you would build a diamond. You see, its incredible stability isn't just about it being super hard. It's all about its atomic structure. That perfectly ordered, incredibly rigid grid of carbon atoms makes it an almost flawless container for information, shielding it from all the noise of the outside world. And what's really amazing is how all its properties work together to create this perfect vault. I mean, you've got its extreme hardness from those tetrahedral bonds, which resists any physical disruption. Then there's its insane atomic density, which lets you pack information incredibly tightly. And to top it off, its thermal conductivity is so good it just whisks away heat, stopping thermal noise from messing with the data. All of it works to lock information rigidly in place. And this perfectly illustrates a really cool concept called topological protection. Just think of it like this. The diamond structure literally forms these tiny, atomic-scale cages. So if you put a piece of information inside one of those cages, let's say the quantum spin of a single atom, that cage physically shields it from vibrations and any other disturbances. The information is protected by the very geometry of the crystal itself. It's brilliant. Okay, that's settled then. A diamond is the perfect information vault in space. But that just makes you wonder, right? What's the equivalent in the dimension of time? What would a diamond of time even look like? Well, the answer is something that sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie, but believe me, it's totally real. A time crystal. Imagine you're pushing a quantum system with a certain beat, pulse, pulse, pulse. A time crystal will actually respond by oscillating at its own, much more stable rhythm, like tick-tock, tick-tock, at just a fraction of your push. It creates its own protected, periodic pattern in time, and it resists little nudges and noise. And here's the crazy part. While scientists are making these things in labs, nature has been building its own version for, well, billions of years. Your body's circadian rhythm, that internal 24-hour clock that tells you when to be sleepy or awake, is a fantastic example of a biological time crystal. So just how stable is this biological clock? Well, this number tells the whole story. It's the clock's Allen deviation, which is basically a score for its precision. For a biological system that is warm, wet, and constantly dealing with noise, a score of 10 to the minus 7 is just astonishingly precise. It means our internal clock is an incredibly stable pattern happening in time. Okay, so we've got a diamond of space and a diamond of time. Now, this is where the new theory we're talking about today comes in, and it's a big deal. It proposes that these aren't two separate ideas at all. They're actually two sides of the very same coin, and they're governed by a single universal law. The magic key that ties all this together is a metric called ROCOP. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like a universal report card for any memory system. It gives a single score, from 0 to 1, that rates how perfectly a system stores information. And it doesn't care if that system is using a physical lattice or a temporal rhythm.
A perfect diamond would get a spatial Rokop score close to 1. A perfect clock would get a temporal Rokop score close to 1. Simple as that. And when you start looking at the world through this unified lens, you discover something profound and, frankly, beautiful. A fundamental constraint. It turns out you just can't have it all. Here is the crucial insight, the big takeaway. A system can be a perfect vault in space, or it can be a perfect clock in time. But, and this is a big but, it cannot be both at the same time. It's a lot like Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, where you can't know a particle's exact position and momentum at once. There's a fundamental trade-off. The more stable something is in space, the less stable it can be in time, and vice versa. Let's make this real with a concrete example. Take a look at this special kind of diamond they use in quantum computing, called an NV diamond. Now, if we give it a report card using our ROCAP metric, look what happens. For its spatial capacity, it scores a 0.9. That's an A+. It's incredibly good at storing information in its physical structure. But when we measure its ability to be a stable clock, its temporal capacity, the score absolutely plummets to 10 to the -4. That's a failing grade. A total failure, really. And there it is, right there in the numbers. This is the trade-off in plain sight. The very rigidity that makes the diamond a perfect spatial vault is exactly what prevents it from being a flexible, stable oscillator. It is a masterpiece in space, but a total mess in time. But, and this is where it gets really exciting, understanding this trade-off isn't a dead end. It's actually the opposite. It's a blueprint for engineering entirely new kinds of memory systems, what we could even call 4D memories. The big idea is to just stop trying to max out one dimension. Instead, you design a hybrid system. You start with a great spatial structure, like our NV diamond. You encode your data there, nice and stable, but then you impress a precise repeating temporal pattern on top of it. You intentionally create a balance between the two capacities, instead of just choosing one. And if you do this, if you manage to balance both, the theoretical joint capacity of a 4D memory system could reach a score of 10 to the power of 5. That's not just a little better, that is orders of magnitude beyond what's possible if you only focus on space or time alone. We're talking about a revolutionary leap forward in information density and stability. Which brings us all the way back to our big final question. This whole framework suggests that from the atomic lattice of a crystal to the quantum ticks of a time crystal, all the way to the very biological clocks that run our lives, there might be a single elegant principle at play, a universal trade-off between space and time that governs how information itself is even allowed to exist. It's a powerful idea, suggesting a deep and hidden unity in the cosmos.